Professor Swartz, so we heard yesterday from Republicans that they're thinking about filing a lawsuit on the whole President Biden not seeking re-election. Will that stand in the court of law?
The first thing I have to say is, why are they so desperate for Biden to come back? Obviously, we know. I Where would a case like this go? Not very far. The Democratic Party is a private organization. The only reason why the state gets involved in primary elections is because the Democratic Party, when it selects its candidate, is automatically on the ballot. So therefore, the state wants to assure that there is a primary to select the delegates that go to the convention. But in most states, they're required to vote at least 2 ballots for the person that they were elected to vote for. But when that candidate suspends his election or withdraws from consideration, those delegates now operate under the rules of the Democratic Party. And the rules of the Democratic Party say they are now free to vote their conscience. There is no requirement. They are delegates like delegates to any convention. And no one outside of people within the party who are directly harmed by this action have standing to sue. So a bunch of Republicans get together and they want to control what happens in the Democratic convention. They have no standing to take any such action. There is no constitutional issue to litigate. But if you were a candidate and you weren't people weren't following the dictates of the statute to vote for you, though you won the primary, they would have standing to attack what was occurring.
Now, when it comes to people who have donated to the Biden-Harris campaign, does that money have to be returned because they were under the impression of donating to President Biden for his reelection? Does it automatically go to Harris's campaign if she gets the nomination at the Democrat convention?
Under the FEC regulations, if the money was given to to Biden-Harris, and Biden is no longer there and Harris is, that money belongs to whatever campaign for president or vice president that she involves herself in. That's why it was so easy for her to seamlessly move, into the presidential campaign with all of that money that was still in the bank.
Is there any judge in the United States that could take up any of these lawsuits if they end up being filed?
How can I say this? There was a judge in North Texas that took on the mifepristone case, even though the Supreme Court found there was no standing. Judge Cannon down here in Florida took on a civil case regarding the search warrant Mar-a-Lago, for which there is no such type of case. That gets litigated within the criminal case. So are there judges out there who might do it? Yes, there might be a judge, but the case wouldn't last very long, and certainly it would never be upheld.
I mean, time really isn't on the side here if there's a lawsuit that's filed, because we are getting closer and closer to the November presidential election. Does that also, put challenges ahead?
Well, the challenges can only last until August 7th. By August 7th, every state has to know who the Democratic candidates are. They're going to know next week. That is, that there will be voting between August 1st and August 6th for the Democratic delegates to vote, and they will select the candidate. It is clear already that Vice President Harris already has sufficient delegates pledged to her right now who are going to vote for her, that she now has enough votes to have the nomination. So as far as I can see, I don't know how any court could enjoin the Democratic Party from following their procedures now.
Had there been a case like this before, could you see a judge taking this up? Is it more challenging when there's not case precedent?
I have never seen a case where a court has interceded to interfere with the Democratic Party's process of what they were doing. If that was going to happen, it would have happened in 2016 when Bernie Sanders was running against Hillary Clinton. It would have happened when Kennedy was running for vice president in 1956 to be vice president with Adlai Stevenson. There would have been some of that in 1968, people that were pledged to Lyndon Johnson. Those cases never surfaced. And any attempt by Republicans to interfere with the Democratic Party process has got to be met with a resounding, you have no standing, have a nice day, goodbye, costs are assessed against you. Okay, I can't think of any other way it's going to end.